guys, it's Angelo, and today we've gotten some exciting news from Blizzard concerning the Shadow Priest, and that is the return of one of our most iconic abilities, Devouring Plague, as well as some changes to Shadow Word Death. These are some very positive changes, and I do feel as if these changes will help the Shadow Priest out a lot, as the spec is currently in a relatively tricky situation on the Shadowlands Alpha. Of course, everything you see here and everything stated by Blizzard and the developers is still subject to change, so just keep that in mind. Good. Now, if you're new to the channel, as always, feel free to subscribe in order to stay updated on the posted content, but without any further ado, let's go right ahead and have a look. Okay, so let's start us off with the most exciting news first. As stated in a blue post by Blizzard just yesterday, Devouring Plague is returning to the Shadow Priest in Shadowlands in what seems to be a very positive attempt to give the spec more flexibility when it comes to how we play, or rather the way we play, especially in shorter encounters. I'll read what this part of the blue post says for you guys really quick, just so that we're all on the same sheet of music before I'll go into more detail. We've seen a lot of feedback that Void Form can be challenging to utilize to its full potential in some combat situations, such as in Mythic Keystone dungeons, on non-boss encounters, or for leveling and dungeon or rather doing outdoor content. We tend to agree that Void Form can feel unrewarding in situations where it becomes difficult to maintain efficient insanity generation. Rather than heavily redesigning Void Form, we're introducing a new tool for these combat situations with the return of Devouring Plague. Along with Void Eruption, Devouring Plague will be the only other spell that costs us insanity. Our intent with Devouring Plague is for it to be used on enemies who die quickly, such as common creatures while leveling, or on simple trash pulls, while Void Form is more powerful on longer combat encounters. Now, for those of you who don't know, Devouring Plague is essentially an insanity-costing dot ability, which will instantly deal a great amount of damage, and then that same damage again over a time frame of 6 seconds, while healing the priest for 100% of the damage done. Overall, a great spell, and one which could possibly become a great extra dot with stronger instant damage abilities alongside it. Okay, so we can take away here that Devouring Plague in Shadowlands is intended to somewhat replace our Void Form, in order to have a meaningful tool to compensate the ramp-up time with Void Form, which of course is a hindrance in Mythic Plus, and essentially any content in which mobs die comparatively quickly, and this includes open world content as well of course. Now, whether or not Devouring Plague and Void Form can run simultaneously, that remains to be seen, and that might be tricky because both actually cost insanity, but I'll be sure to update you on the matter. This is overall a good change for the Shadow Priest, and one which many of us really wished to see, in some intent or in some way of course. The Devouring Plague playstyle itself was something most Shadow Priests loved back when it was a thing before Legion's Shadow Priest rework, and how and if we're able to tie this extra dot into our Void Form or simply into our gameplay along with Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch, that remains to be seen. Keep in mind that Devouring Plague in its former iteration had cost us Shadow Orbs, a resource very similar to the Holy Power of the Paladin, which enabled more of a builder and spender type of gameplay. So again, whether or not this new idea behind Devouring Plague fits our current playstyle, that remains to be seen. The next change that Blizzard addressed was one to Shadow Word Death. Shadow Word Death now deals 100% more damage to targets at or below 20% of health. This is a good change as well, because it actually makes Shadow Word Death an execute ability once more, but let's be honest, we will still be forced to use it on enemies above 20% health, because its insanity generation of 15 insanity is simply too high to just ignore. All in all, Blizzard is going into a great direction here, and both of these changes can be pretty good. What I'd like to see next are changes to our talents, as we now don't have a single talent that amplifies or changes Devouring Plague in any way. If Blizzard intends to make the Devouring Plague playstyle one which runs apart from Void Form instead of alongside it, then we need the according tools in order to make this work. Perhaps talents which will buff DP's damage, talents which will perhaps refund some of insanity, or rather some of the insanity after casting Devouring Plague. Honestly, there's room for so much more at this point, and I am pretty excited. Let me know what you think. Do you think that these changes are good? Do you see issues that could arise here? Well, be sure to let me know what you think in the comments below, as I'd be excited to hear. Now, as always, thank you everyone for watching, and a special thanks to my supporters over at Patreon. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you wish to stay updated on the content of this channel, then feel free to subscribe. Now, have a good one my friends, get excited for Shadowlands, and I will see you all in the next one.